Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Karina, your human design and alignment guide.
And I am Skylar Shea, your personal energetic guide, intuitive cheerleader, and high-level professional coach.
And welcome to Raise Your Freak. We created this podcast because we are driven to live to our fullest potential and want to share our experiences and obsessions with the frequency-curious individuals out there. We go live every Friday at 11:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom, so you can be part of the conversation.
I'm so excited about all of this because I love podcasts, but I always find myself wanting to ask questions. By offering you the opportunity to join us live, this means you can ask your questions in real time.
Each week, you can expect various conversations regarding all things human frequency, as well as support to help you integrate.
We understand the importance of tending to your frequency and engaging in topics as it helps you along your path to expansion and alignment.
Our goal is to help you feel a part of a community as you navigate your journey through this lifetime.
We look forward to connecting with you every week live at our Zoom headquarters, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I think we covered everything, Skylar.
I think so too.
Okay, let's dive in. Hi, Karina.
Hi, Skylar Shea.
Happy Friday. I'm very excited. I had a friend this morning be like, oh, do you have a busy day? I was like, I do have a busy day. Yeah, like up until 12, like I have a bunch of meetings, blah, blah, blah. And then I have nothing. He goes, that's not a busy day. I was like, oh, that's a busy day for me.
My day for me.
And then he was like saying he's the contractor in the building that I live in, and he's evacuating bats from the building today. And I was like, oh, I'm so much more grateful for my job over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Imagine having to evacuate bats.
They're literally flying rats. They're
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's also terrified of them. Best of luck.
He picked a correct job for himself then.
No, he's not supposed to do this job. People spraying it on him. He's not a pest control guy. He's just a contractor. Anyway, all to say that it allowed me to really be grateful for my circumstances and what I choose to do. And I think it's a really good starting point to what this conversation is today for us, which is talking about gratitude.
Yes, that was an excellent segue. I'm really proud of our segues. We always segue. Very good.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it too. Today we're talking about gratitude in relationship to manifesting our desires. And really the opposite of gratitude, in my opinion, is like lack, worry, fear. And I think especially when we are forward thinking and looking at the things we don't yet have, we end up getting into a vibrational state of fear or lack, or, oh, I don't have that yet. Or maybe even looking around your current reality and not totally stoked with the things that are going on in your reality. And the more we focus on what's not working, that vibrational frequency is what continues to attract that. And so that's why this conversation of gratitude is being brought up today, because it is the one vibrational frequency that is like the best one to help get ourselves into a state that is actually going to bring more abundance into our lives and help us to even see that there is abundance in our lives that maybe we're missing right now.
Yeah.
So let me throw the stage to you and your thoughts on gratitude. This was your idea to talk about this. Also, like, why do you feel it necessary to even bring up this conversation today?
Thank you for asking, Skylar. It's funny because I was thinking a lot about this because, like many things, this is a practice, which means you have to do it again and again and again. And on top of it all is when you start doing it versus 4 years down the road, it's just like how you go to the gym. You become stronger and you become better at it, and it becomes more effortless. And I was thinking back to a time in my life when I didn't have gratitude, and I was really a negative Nancy. And it was back in my 20s, my mid 20s. And I was just working at a job that I really didn't like. And I was really just frustrated. And I definitely thought that the world was always out the world was against me. The universe was against me. I had been completely forgotten about, and I was really struggling. And I started just listening to podcasts about mindset and the importance of gratitude in shifting your mindset into being more, basically just living more in peace. And so gratitude was one of the practices that I started working on. And as I mentioned, at first it was weird and it was hard because I'm like, hey, what am I grateful for? And I look around, I'm like, I have an apartment. I'm not living on the streets. Great start. Oh, I do have food. And so it was always basic. It was always just, I would look around my room. I would look around where I was and be like, okay, what am I grateful for? And I would always approach it like that. What am I grateful for? And as time has gone on, it's definitely been something where every day, even if it's just like a brief moment where I see a really pretty flower, or like right now I'm looking and my tomatoes are starting to go red. And there's simple things, but it's interesting because as you continue with this practice, you find more gratitude in more of the simpler things.
Mhm.
And with that, what happens is that you actually start feeling more gratitude and you do feel your energy slowly shift into more of a positive mindset versus a woe is me. You're now looking at, wow, I'm really blessed and I'm really grateful and I am really abundant in my life.
So, what you're talking about here from like a quantum physics realm, it's called the observer effect. And so, oftentimes, what we do, especially the more ambitious you are, I think, is this really happens often, is that we constantly scan our reality and see what we don't have yet and see the missing holes. And so, when we're seeing the missing holes, what vibrational state we end up moving into is a state of lack, a state of not enough, a state of I don't have that yet. And yeah, sure, it can create a sense of desire, a sense of longing, a sense of wanting. But the key word here is it's creating a sense of longing, which means it's actually elongating the time frame in which you are bringing in those desires that you do want for yourself. And with the concept of gratitude, what we're doing is choosing to see actually all the things that we do have in our lives, all the things that we have. It helps to celebrate the things that we've overcome. And often too, as a high achiever, you sometimes don't even allow yourself to have those micro celebrations or those macro celebrations because you're just like on to the next, on to the next. And sure, but then you're not actually allowing yourself to enjoy what you're creating or what you have created. And sure, there's always more. There's always more. But if you can get into a state of gratitude for what you have now, when you start calling in those bigger desires, you can actually enjoy them so much more as well.
Mhm. Yeah. It reduces the resistance, right? Like you said, when we are trudging in our day-to-day life, we are constantly in search of other things. Money, I'll be more happy. When I have a baby, I'll be more happy. When I have a bigger house or a smaller house, I will be more happy. When I have the love of my life, I will be more happy. Yes, those things are great, but what about right now?
Mhm.
What do you have right now that you can be grateful for and that you can be thankful for and that you can, because here's the thing about gratitude is when you actually sit in the feeling, I don't even know if I can express it properly. You actually feel something and it's within your chest space and it warms and it expands. And the more you sit in it, it expands more and expands more, and then you can't help every time I can't help but put a smile on my face because all of a sudden I'm in this flow and that gratitude, and when you see what you have, the abundance, and you feel the abundance of your life. And now what do we know about vibrational frequency is the more abundant we feel, the more we can call in that energy. Right? I have so much gratitude for everything I have right now. Like, I don't need anything else to be happy. I don't. I have all that I have. And then you get more. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. It's this constant feeling of expansion is what you're feeling.
Mhm.
That to me, having a daily gratitude practice is really important just for like your overall well-being, the overall health of your life. But especially when you're calling in, especially when you're manifesting, because we have been talking about manifestation over the past few weeks. What's really fundamental, especially when it comes to manifesting, is that oftentimes, as we talked about last week, if we're not in vibrational frequency of it, so therefore we are yearning it, or we are desiring it, we are grasping for it, we're not at that frequency. So when you're calling something in, I almost would say amp up your gratitude
Mhm.
practice. Amp it up. Like really just be in it. It is like the act as if, except you're it. You are it. You are happy. You are grateful. You are abundant. You have all that you can see. So I personally, and I just shared this on my Instagram story, I have been calling in quite a few manifestations, and a lot of them are some of them are pretty big, some of them are just like a tweak or an adjustment. And so I know because I have been struggling in the test and triggers area.
Mm.
So the past 24 hours, I got about 4 different tests and triggers that all targeted all of my manifestations or the things that I'm calling in. To a point where yesterday I was at the cabin when I did that on our property, which is on the water. I actually just broke down and I sobbed and I cried. I had to release it. It was just too much. It was too many things happening at once. And I got frustrated with the universe and I was like, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. What am I doing wrong? Like, why can't, like, where are you? Why can't you support me? Why can't you guide me? And I just got it all out. Got it all out. And then just sat there for a bit, the post breakdown, exhaustion. And then I said to myself, okay, that was about an hour or two. And then I was like, okay, now I need to shift. Now I need to shift back into gratitude. So I took my paddleboard and it was sunset and I went out onto the river to this area that is really beautiful. And I just sat there and it was sunset. So like things were quiet. The water was really still and it was just nature around me. And I started to not say be great. I was starting to be incredibly grateful. I was like, look at where I am right now. I had a meltdown on the river, and now I'm floating on the same river that I have access to. I am so abundant. I'm so grateful. I feel so much peace. I feel so much joy. And I just sat in that for 45 minutes. And then I paddled back, feeling much more at peace. And then today, I'm feeling so much better. That is the that is the benefits of having that gratitude practice within your life.
I love that you shared that story because sometimes I worry when talking about the positive aspects of manifestation that we're going to skirt over or create this like toxic positivity because ultimately we do need to feel our feelings. We need to feel what's coming through. We need to feel it so that it can be released. And there is this duality that in our shadows, and when we actually get to the depths of our shadows and be able to let them go or let them release, then it allows us to bring in ample joy, ample gratitude, ample love. We need to acknowledge and feel and shift the vibration as well.
Yeah,
Because
one of the biggest things I always say is don't gaslight yourself.
I yes.
When you're feeling your feelings, feel them. Don't suppress them. If you need to cry, just cry. Just cry, let it out. Get angry at the universe. The great thing about the universe is it'll always forgive you. It knows your soul and it knows that you don't mean it. You're just like acting from a space of frustration. Even if you do mean it, you don't actually mean it. Like, I'm not actually mad at the universe. I know what's going on. I see what's happening. In fact, what it does is it makes me fully surrender even more. When you have these moments and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'm at a loss. It's all on you then, which is the universe is always perfect. Let's pick up where we left off.
So there's a few things within a lot of what you've just said as well, where I want to break down the energetics of it a little bit more. And the first explanation that I can help to bring this to is the concept of quantum entanglement. So the idea of how quantum entanglement works, it's like the idea of the vibrations you put out are the vibrations you're calling back or that you entangle with. And so when we allow ourselves to move through our emotions, move through our shit, we're releasing it. So we are getting it out of our aura. When we don't allow ourselves to truly acknowledge it, it ends up going into the subconscious. It ends up getting buried down within us, and it ends up staying and sticking to our aura fields. Whether we are avoiding it or trying to ignore it, because you're not allowing yourself to feel it, you're staying within it. You're staying in that vibrational frequency, whether you are numbing yourself so that you don't feel it, whether you're keeping yourself busy and distracting yourself so you don't really acknowledge it. It's still there. So that's why actually being able to acknowledge it and release it is going to be very helpful, because remember, emotions are energy in motion. When you allow yourself to acknowledge and feel your emotions, you allow yourself to release. And then when you can get yourself back into a place of gratitude, a place of abundance, seeing even the minuscule things, even if you're going through, you have a lot of tests or a lot of triggers coming up. If you can start to acknowledge, oh, this is happening for me, not to me. This is happening for my growth. That's already going into a place of abundance rather than a place of lack, a place of things are working out for me. And yeah, it might be a little bit delusional, but that's okay. It gets to be delusional because we are constantly just creating our own realities. And whether you realize you're a manifester or not, we all are manifestors. So if you don't like the things that are coming into your life, you are manifesting those things. You are bringing those things into your life. Consider your thoughts. Consider what your vibrational frequency consistently is. And then get to a place where you can start shifting that for yourself. And so what gratitude does, and acknowledging what you're grateful for, you're starting to shift the vibrational frequency within your aura. So you're starting to move what isn't aligning in your aura, what you don't want in your aura, and bring in more of that positive vibrational frequency, which is then going to attract in the opportunities and desires that you are actually wanting to call in. A very good example of this, I literally just got off the phone with a client, and this client, the work that she does, she has people working under her and working for her. And the people that are currently working under her, she sees the great potential for them. However, there are aspects of lack and aspects of her own shadows that come through them that she is having a really hard time with and having a really hard time seeing the mirrors of. And what we were able to understand and acknowledge is that when she called these people in, what she was, even though she maybe had an idea of the people she wanted and she saw their potential, they were a vibrational match to her lack. They were a vibrational match to what isn't working in her life, to her shadows. As she gets to start shifting and changing her vibrational frequency, it is going to start attracting in the right type of clients to work under her that are going to be able to support her and benefit her. We can bring this conclusion to relationships. If you are single and you constantly feel like you keep on drawing in shitty relationships or jobs that aren't right for you, or like maybe you work for yourself, maybe it's clients that aren't totally right for you or don't really have the money to spend or whatever, or all that. Start to focus on cleaning up your own energy frequency, and that's going to start attracting in the right vibrational frequencies.
I love this. And, you touched on it. But I think we should just really re-say it to really hit it home.
Squeeze it out.
Yeah. The big thing with gratitude is it affects your health. Because remember, and as you mentioned, that when you hold on to negative energy, ultimately, if you don't release it, it will come through the physical body, right? Everything is all connected. It will come through the physical body as dis-ease. There are studies that have shown, and I encourage you, go and Google is a beautiful place to explore them, where having a gratitude practice creates your better health. There's positive effects on your physical health, including reduced blood pressure, improving sleep, boosting the immune system. Dr. Joe Dispenza is another really great leader in the world of like really exploring the mind, heart, gut, body, all of that connection. And he has a quote that I wanted to share real quick about gratitude. And he says, if you try gratitude, it works really well. Gratitude is a powerful emotion to use for manifesting because normally we feel gratitude after we receive something. So the emotional signature of gratitude means that it has already happened. When you are thankful or you feel appreciation, you are in the ultimate state to receive. When you embrace gratitude, your body as the unconscious mind will believe it is in that future reality in the present moment. And it's more and more studies are coming out as to the importance of our emotional well-being. And gratitude is such a beautiful and simple way, really simple way of ultimately creating a healthier you.
I love that you say simple because, again, with this client I just had, I was asking her, like, do you participate in gratitude practices? What does that look like for you? And she goes, oh, like, funny you say that. Like, I used to every morning do like a full journaling practice and I did this, but I just haven't really had the time for it. And I'm like, okay, love that for you. And you don't need the time for it. You can literally just in the moment. So I had two suggestions for her. And so for everyone else listening, I have these two suggestions for you of how to bring more gratitude into your life. First thing in the morning and or as you're going to bed, before you even open your eyes in the morning, just bringing a heart to your a hand to your heart and just thinking, going through what like a gratitude rampage almost, just allowing yourself to get into this state of what are the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for this bed. I'm grateful for the fact that I got to sleep last night. I'm grateful for the fact that I have a roof over my head. It doesn't have to be these like big, great things. I'm grateful that I have a job to go to, or I'm grateful that I don't have a job to go to. Like, it doesn't have to be big, like, just having, like, maybe 1 minute even or 10 breaths where you're considering the things that you're grateful for, and that's gonna help to shift your vibration in a second. And so that's the first suggestion I have, like, morning or night, bringing in that, like, quick practice as you're going to sleep or as you wake up in the morning. So the second one is when you're noticing and focusing, because it is often a default for a lot of us, especially if we're high achievers, that we go into this default of either looking around at what we don't have yet or looking around at our reality and focusing on the things that aren't working in our reality. When you notice yourself doing that, come to your heart space and go, what am I grateful for? And so, yes, we always are wanting more. But when we are constantly focusing on the lack, when we're constantly focusing on what we don't have, we are elongating the end goal of whatever that desire is. And generally, once you get that desire, you already have three more that you want that you don't even enjoy that desire. Being able to switch into that state of gratitude, especially when you don't feel it, when all you see around is lack, is going to actually be the best practice for you to start shifting your frequency. And yeah, for sure, if you get into a moment of despair where you're like, I feel like I can't hold the weight of anything anymore, and you're feeling that anxiety or that stress in your body, first, before the gratitude, feel into that, look into that, acknowledge that, hear the lies that it's telling you, hear the triggers that it's communicating to you, hear the beliefs and the lack, the fear, the worry, and say, okay, I allowed you to experience that. I allowed you to let that out, let that go, and gratitude. What am I grateful for? And as you said within your own story, it might not be like back to back that fast. Maybe you have to let yourself release first. And then maybe an hour later, or maybe 10 minutes later, or maybe the next day, you're like, oh, okay. But make sure that you are doing what you need to help shift your vibration.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stress it enough how it really does Because it's even interesting too, because as you continue along the practice, one of the things I realized is that you almost start searching for the beauty in life. And I love that. I love that so much. I love this. Like I said, it'll be the simplest things, like my tomatoes right now. I'm just so happy. I started them from seed and it was a bit of a challenge. And I thought I wasn't going to grow any tomatoes this year because I don't have a green thumb for some reason. But then now here they are. And thinking of that process of how that went, just it brings so much peace and excitement to my life. And so that's why having that gratitude practice in your daily life is important, but especially when you're really calling things. And I love that you said that when you're really struggling, that's not the moment to do the gratitude practice.
Yeah.
You can't want to, but I just feel the feelings,
Yeah.
feel the frustration, just let that energy move. You got to get it out of your system. You got to get it out of your energetic aura.
Mhm.
Then have a nap. Abraham Hicks is so great. She always talks about how when you're having a tough time, go take a nap. And I love it because it resets. You're in a new day. Even
Mhm.
if it's a 45-minute nap, it's a brand new day. Okay, brand new day.
Mhm.
What can we do now? And she also calls her gratitude practice the Rampage of appreciation. And she just starts. I love this and I love this and I love this and I'm happy about this and I'm grateful about this and this and this. And then you to listen to her, I encourage you to listen. I get goosebumps now just thinking about how she just goes off. And it's like you feel it. Even
Right.
though you're listening to it, you feel the energy shift within you.
Yeah.
That's how powerful gratitude is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about it, and I think the last time I heard one of her rampages of appreciation was a year ago, and I'm getting goosebumps. That is literally the power of that frequency of gratitude.
How would you find it? It's on YouTube, right? Or
Yeah, I would say YouTube probably. She's got a lot on there. I would do YouTube.
yeah, so Google Abraham Hicks and Google Abraham or YouTube Abraham Hicks gratitude rampage, because especially if you're like new to this practice for yourself, it's a really great way that you can just put the headphones in, go for a walk, and help get yourself into a different frequency if you're needing to and you don't really have the ability to do it on your own because you're literally walking behind an explosion behind you of shit. Walking
you
away from the explosion.
Yeah, running away from the explosion. I saw that you posted about what people are grateful for right now. Did you get any responses?
Early this morning I looked and I hadn't. Let me just look. What did you get? You got a few, didn't you?
I got a couple, yeah. I got my health and your health. But let's think about that for a second. Like we are we're mortal bodies. If you actually think about like how we got here and how we are healthy being here and what we have to support our health, once you really lean into that of, yeah, okay, it's just health, but really think about your health. Whoa, that alone just creates a cacophony of emotion of, whoa, yes, gratitude for health is so important.
I actually was filing for some life insurance yesterday, and in that process, like, was being asked all these questions about my health and blah, 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 and, like, every single time, like, my financial advisor kept on being like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy that you're so healthy. This is making it so much easier, blah, 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 blah." Kept on going through, and that was the first time for me that I really realized, like, wow, like, I am so grateful for my health. Like, I don't allow myself to acknowledge or to consider how healthy I am, and it's not usually until we get sick that we start to really have gratitude for our health.
Yeah, it's so true. Oh my God, it's so true. I love that. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. The other
Mhm.
one you got was food sovereignty during an economic downturn.
I know who wrote that one. Do I know who
Uh,
wrote that one?
yeah, I know exactly who wrote that. But I love it so much because that is a big thing that my partner and I are really moving towards. and I don't want to get any doomsday at all, but the ability to grow your own food and to have those things, especially, I think COVID was a really great example when the shelves got empty and now like prices are going up. And to be able to have that sovereignty, I think is just, yeah, that's a powerful one too. Food, it fuels us,
Yeah.
right? Fundamental for our health, for our
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Even being able to go to the grocery store and buy food, right? And be able to have the accessibility in whatever ways to do that. Yeah, maybe you are feeling a little bit tight with money, so you are being a bit more conscious about what you're buying, but you still have the accessibility. And a lot of people don't necessarily have that accessibility, especially there's been islands I've traveled to and stuff that, especially during COVID, things were bleak. The Bahamas, for instance, is a perfect example where some of those outer islands, it was very difficult for ships to even get to those islands. And because it's literally lava rock, you can't really grow anything on some of those islands either. And so there was like a lot of worry and desolateness. And it's hilarious too, because when we think Bahamas, we think abundance, we think rich, we think wealthy. And then in reality, there's such like a double-edged sword sometimes, because the people that actually live in these spaces, like they have a lot less abundance than those that are actually traveling to those spaces. But all that to say, there's so much within like just the accessibility of food, no matter what your like financial circumstances are on being able to receive that food. Like there is something that you can purchase. There's something that you can get. There are even there are s- Yeah, it's just like living in North America, especially, like we have a very much better ability to receive than a lot of people do. And we
I
don't.
remember I remember reading, I don't know where I'm trying to remember the practice where I saw this, but you can actually do a gratitude practice with food. So, for example, let's take an orange. Oranges typically aren't really grown in this area. When next time you get oranges, when you come home, be slow and be intentional. And as you're slowly peeling, just imagine, okay, so how did that orange get there? And just imagine it. Okay, so first of all, so it was grown somewhere else. And then from there, somebody had to pick it off the tree. And then they gathered it into a bin. And then from the bin, it went to a facility. And then from the facility, it went into a truck. And then the truck, then it traveled. Maybe it took a plane. Who knows? Imagine whatever. And then so it landed here. And now it then got dispersed, and then it came to that grocery store, and then someone from the grocery store went and put it out. And as you're peeling it, just think about that journey that orange took and have gratitude for that, because 200, 300 years ago, we didn't have readily access to that. Being thankful for that. And then when you enjoy it, when you savor it, you acknowledge and you honor the journey that it took to get to you, to now nourish your body with vitamin C, with those vitamins that are really important to your health and well-being.
And it actually, from a nutrition standpoint, helps to amplify your digestive abilities as well, which is really interesting because the slower you are when you eat, but also the more you're acknowledging what you're actually doing and you're taking presence on that, it allows for the saliva glands to open up. So there's even more saliva for you to pre-digest the food before you even get it down. It helps to wake up the stomach system to acknowledge and realize, oh, digestion's about to happen now. Being able to be present with eating, it amplifies your ability for digestion. So maybe you are desiring weight loss. Maybe you're desiring just to feel better when you're eating things. Like by slowing it down and bringing gratitude to the food you're eating, it's actually going to support your digestive abilities.
I love that. That's awesome.
Any other ones that were shared or that you want to bring up of your
Those
own?
were those were the two that were shared.
I want to bring back to this idea of the objection effect or
Mhm.
object effect or whatever, because like when it comes to your own example with the tomatoes, no one else can see your yard right now, but I know what the front of your yard looks like. And it could be so easy to focus on like the wood piles, the garbage piles, basically Karina lives in this like beautiful compound. So there's a couple different, like there's herself and then there's her partner's brother, and then there's his mom that has a house. So there's like a massive property and there's 3 homes on it basically. But in the middle of it, there's a construction zone basically happening. And I know, especially for Karina, she is someone that really enjoys and really loves the aesthetic of things and things being aesthetically pleasing. So for you to be able to look out the front of this computer right now and just be like focusing on how grateful you are for those tomatoes and how much gratitude you have for those tomatoes, and allow yourself to not even really worry or think or stress about the shit that's around you. And sure, maybe there's times that you like curse it or whatever, but you can see the beauty that's right in front of you. And oftentimes people can't. And I'm sure there's been times in your own life that like you would have never been able to even allow yourself to acknowledge the beauty of the tomatoes because there was just too much other shit in front of you.
It's so true. And I want to make it fundamentally clear that the ladders and the wood pot and like the things and the saw and the lawnmower and all this stuff that's like out here. It's, yes, I can often be like, "Oh, this is messy," because I'm all about like messy outside, messy inside, clean outside, clean inside. That's just like a thing for me. So there's a lot of like surrender and letting go. It's okay. It's fine. So the focusing on the tomatoes is really important. But don't get me wrong, I do get frustrated. But that's exactly when it's okay, let's shift it.
Mhm.
What am I grateful for? The fact that
Yeah.
I have a lawnmower, the fact that we have a wood pile, the fact that we have a ladder.
And it's all there because there's growth happening, right? It's all for growth. It's all for expansion. And so, yeah, it can be messy to expand, and it's not meant to be like,
It is messy to expand.
yeah. And if you want to learn more about that, check out our
Yes.
episode from last week. I find too that one thing, and we've talked about this already in another episode, but this just was happening to me in the last couple of days. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is something astrologically that's happening right now that's helping to bring those triggers up for us around our manifestations. Because even for myself, especially yesterday, I had so many different triggers coming up and I saw so many signs. 11, 1223, 111, 222, 333. I saw all of those numbers yesterday, and I haven't really been cluing into that at all. I saw multiple single butterflies. The amount of signs, and then even this morning, again, a trigger happened again. And I already was like moving past it because I was just like, I get what this is. But sure enough, I look and I'm at the gas pump and I'm at number 11, gas pump 11. I'm like, okay, like that, I get it. Like, this is all happening for my growth. This is all happening for me to bring in what I'm calling in. And the triggers are helping me to see where I need to work, where some of my shadows are, where some of my self-worth is lying. And so it's also like I can pretty much instantly within the negative loops be like, oh, I see how this is working for me and not against me. Thank you. Thank you. More, please. But more of the abundance and less of the triggers.
I could do without the triggers.
No more triggers. I get it. I get it. But sometimes, like, the whole point is sometimes asking or seeing things outside of ourselves is actually going to be really supportive too. So even sometimes it's really hard for you to find and feel that shift in gratitude yourself. So this could be a time, and this is where we get really wooey in the conversation, but this could be a time to bring in the energy of certain archangels. Archangel Metatron, for instance, is like a specific archangel that is supposed to be very helpful for calling in your manifestations, calling in that high energetic frequency. So that could be really supportive to use. When it comes around love or worthiness, either Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael can be really supportive. So calling in those energies. If there's people that have either passed away or even people that are alive that have a certain vibrational frequency or certain energy that you really gravitate towards or you really love being in their energy frequency, call that in. Ask to step into that. I have a perfect example. My dear friend, Brittany, who I just find she just exudes confidence. And I just love the energy she shows up in when she shows up in a room. And I've had these conversations with her and she laughs because she goes, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm actually so insecure. It's just a default that I put on to remove my insecurity within myself." And I was like, it's working because I feel this incredible sense of confidence every time you step into a room. So I don't do this anymore, but when I was having to do interviews in university and stuff or interviews for jobs, I would always say tap into Brittany's energy, tap into that confident energy. And it would work. I would be able to because what is actually happening here, especially when we're calling in the energy of people that maybe exist in the world, we're not taking their energy. We are acknowledging something that we see within them that we can experience within ourselves. Because we see it within someone else, you can carry that within yourself. Sometimes it's easier to step outside of ourselves to bring things in. So whether it's spirit guides, whether it's other people's energies, being able to step into other vibrational frequencies can be really helpful in starting to shift your energy around when you don't feel like you've got that in yourself.
I love that. That's awesome.
Mhm. Mhm. Anything else that you wanna share or say about gratitude?
I feel so complete. I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that I experienced what I did yesterday, what happened yesterday, even in the depths of what I did, because I'm now feeling the benefits of going through the process that I did to be able to share it today in real time so you can see how this
It works.
practice, how it works. It's a
Yeah.
practice. Have compassion on yourself. It's just like anything, like going to the gym. Don't expect an immediate results. Just stick with it over time, even just 5 minutes once a day. Just start there and then move and then just watch things transform.
Yeah. Because your reality is the lens that you focus on. So, are you gonna focus on the things that aren't working, or are you gonna acknowledge them and focus on the things that are working to allow yourself to bring in more of what's working and release what's not working?
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, yes. Let me do that here. I'm feeling called to bring in the Akashic Tarot today. Let's see what it has to say to us. Okay, so just calling in some wisdom for anyone and everyone who has decided to spend time to watch this podcast today. Oh, Five of Roses, the garden.
Well, that one's pretty.
Let's see what it has to say.
He's upright.
It was upright. Yeah. Okay. I'll read the full one, but it might not feel like it totally resonates with a lot of people because it's talking a lot about children. But the idea of this, I think, is that it's really talking about bringing in childlike play, bringing in your child innocence. And I think that sometimes, especially with the concept of bringing in gratitude, it's as adults, we rob ourselves of joy so much. It's like we have to be serious. We have to be forward thinking. We have to think about finances and bills and all of this. And it can really weigh us down, and it can really stop us from seeing the magic of the world and experience what I think that this card is generally trying to explain to us or remind us of is like, step into that childhood innocence, step into your childlike self. Stop being so serious all the time. We don't need to be serious all the time. It's good to have play in our lives. It's good to have joy in our lives. Let yourself experience that more frequently, and more of those experiences will be brought to you. So maybe this specific card will be really resonant for some people, though. So I will read what the actual card says. Two children play in a sunny, lush green garden. A boy shoots a slingshot while a girl next to him watches a butterfly in the flowers with a magnifying glass. If children aren't a part of your life already, this card could show their arrival. It also could indicate that your children, even adult children, could become more of a focus for you. They may have some concerns of their own, but even opportunities for things to mend come easily right now. There are also may be real change and benefit for one of your children who has made a special effort recently. This is a very advantageous time for the children around you or within you. Enjoy it and help them enjoy it too. So a special note, the meditation here. So closing your eyes, stepping into the garden. Become the child you used to be in heart and mind. Let the child within you take a look around for one of the children in your life who is also playing here. What new perspective do you have when the child you are meets a child around you?
I think I love this is a perfect card. It reminds me of when you're a child, how we've talked about this before when we dream big, right? And we have big imagination and it's sky is the limit. When I was a kid, I was going to be a writer and I was going to be on Oprah Winfrey, and nothing you could say, whatever would make that small. I was like, that's going to be, and I would dream about it all the time. And I love this card so much that to invoke play, to invoke curiosity, to invoke openness, fun, joy, pleasure. Oh, it's a perfect card. I love it.
It's really funny you mentioned this too, because I feel like this is something that, just to close with, that I've noticed for myself, and I had this conversation with a client a little while ago around travel. So she was about in her 30s, and in her early 20s, like around like university time, leading up to university, right after university, her ability to manifest money to go traveling was so easy. Now she's in her 30s, and honestly, nothing's really changed. Like she's still single, she's still without children, yet her ability to manifest money to travel has become so much more difficult. And what we realized was it's because of whatever conditioning has occurred and is occurring around this concept of like, when we're in our 20s, society allows us to explore. We're meant to explore. We're meant to travel. We're meant to find ourselves. When we get into our 30s, we're meant to settle down. We're meant to have that job that is going to be our career job. We're meant to start having kids. We need to be more serious. And so within her, she was realizing like, oh, it was so easy for me to manifest these things when I was younger that I still desire now, but it's become much harder for me now because of her, like the conditioning around her, not even that's created the beliefs within her. So being able to come back to that childhood self, or even that teen self, or even that younger version of self, remember her, remember or him, and remember their ability to manifest certain things so effortlessly. You still have the ability to do that. You can still do that. So step into the vibrations that are going to allow you to do that.
That's so beautiful. I love it. What a wonderful reminder. So good. That was such a perfect card. So I just wanted to take a moment, speaking of gratitude, to thank every single one of you that listens, whether you show up live or you follow us along on our YouTube channel. Honestly, Like my heart, I might cry. My heart is so big right now because you guys are the reasons why we keep doing We do this for ourselves, but we really do it for you. And we just love that you're devoted to listening to us. And thank you. Thank you for hitting pressing play. Thank you for pressing subscribe. Thank you for liking. Thank you for continuing following us while we're on this journey.
I just want to share what one of the women who's watching this live shared with us about the tarot pull. So she goes, I hope it's okay that I share this. I'll cut it out if you don't want me to share it. But the tarot pull was so meaningful for me. I'm doing homeschooling planning while listening and struggling to come up with fun, childlike ways to communicate the learning goals.
I love it. Oh my God.
Oh, thanks for sharing. So good. So good. I'm so grateful. Thanks for showing up as well. That's so much fun. And thank you. Thank you. Reiterating everything that Karina just said, it is actually like so phenomenal to see people and listen to people and hear people watching us. And it feels like weird every time because I forget what our goal is with it because I just have so much fun being here with you and having these conversations with you. They are just as important for me to remember and for us to remember as they are to like be teaching and sharing. I'm the student as well as the teacher in a way. And yeah, thank you. It's so cool.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye. Love you. Oh, I'm just going to stop this.